All right, we're going to deconstruct one of the biggest myths holding back your career, and it all starts with a very surprising analogy. We're talking about a mouse, a trap, and a piece of cheese. And you probably think you know the answer. But what if everything we've been told is completely wrong?
Okay, let's kick things off with a question that feels, well, super obvious. If you picture a mousetrap, maybe from a cartoon you saw as a kid, what's the bait? It's always cheese, right? That seems to be the universal answer.
Yeah, about that, it's not cheese. That universal answer is totally wrong. Scientists have actually looked into this, and it turns out most mice are kind of indifferent to cheese. In fact, a lot of them are actually put off by its really strong smell.
And look, this isn't just some random guess. A study from Manchester University literally set up a buffet for mice. And what did they go for? Not the cheese. Over and over again, they went straight for the high-sugar, high-energy stuff, like peanut butter and chocolate.
And it all comes down to some really simple biology. I mean, think about it. That peanut butter has about 50% more calories, more energy than most cheeses. And rodents, just like most animals, are basically hardwired to find the most efficient energy source they can. They're chasing the fuel, not the myth.
So you have to wonder, where did this whole myth even come from? Well, the story actually starts way back in the Middle Ages. See, back then, families kept their grains locked up tight and hung their meats up high. But big wheels of cheese? They were often just left out on shelves to age. It was basically the only food a little mouse could get to. And since cheese is solid, it left obvious bite marks, creating this false connection that has stuck around for centuries.
So, okay, that's a cool little piece of trivia, right? But it makes you think, what if you're spending your entire career chasing the wrong kind of cheese? What if the rewards you've been told are valuable are actually just a myth holding you back? All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about your career's cheese traps. These are the invisible ideas, the myths of the modern 9-to-5 that are basically designed to keep your salary stagnant.
There's a great quote from the financial expert Nick Invests that just nails this. He says, that stagnant salary isn't an accident. It's the direct result of specific decisions you're not making. It's a system, really, and it works because we buy into these myths without ever stopping to question them.
And you've probably seen these traps before, maybe without even realizing it. There's the loyalty myth, the idea that if you just stick around long enough, you'll be rewarded. Or how about this one, the whole "we're a family here" thing. We have to remember that at the end of the day, a business's goal is to get the most out of you for the least amount of money. Simple as that.
And when you actually look at the numbers, wow, it's pretty shocking. Just look at this chart for a second. The loyal employee, the one who stays, gets that standard 3% annual raise, which, let's be honest, barely keeps up with inflation. You see how that person just falls further and further behind the one who makes a strategic move every few years and lands a big 20% pay bump each time?
So let's just be super clear about this. In today's world, loyalty isn't rewarded. It's often penalized. Seriously, staying comfortable in that job is one of the most expensive financial decisions you will ever make. It can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a career.
So if that tiny 3% raise isn't the real cheese, then what is? Well, it's not just about chasing a bigger salary either. No, the real cheese is something else entirely. It's about a different kind of financial power that completely changes the game.
So a lot of experts point to this one specific number that seems to be a real game changer. And you might be surprised, it's not $1 million. It's not even $100,000. For many, that turning point is having about $20,000 in savings. That's the amount that can completely rewire your relationship with work, with money, and with risk. The moment you hit that number, something just clicks. A switch flips in your brain. You literally shift from what's called survival mode, where every decision is about fear and just making it to the next paycheck, to growth mode. You stop asking, how do I survive? And you start asking, okay, how can I grow this?
And this is where it gets really exciting. Your money starts working for you. You see that? Getting that first 20 grand is a grind. It's the hardest part. But then the next 20 grand comes way faster. Why? Because now your money is starting to work for you. That's the incredible power of compounding in action.
And that buffer, my friends, is what people call walking away money. And it is, no joke, a career superpower. All of a sudden, your whole mindset changes because you're not desperate anymore. You can negotiate harder. You can say no to a bad project. You can confidently look for that better job because you have the freedom to just walk away. Okay, so this all sounds great, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you build this kind of freedom for yourself and finally escape the trap?
Well, it really comes down to a clear 4-step escape plan. First, you gotta know your real value. Use data from sites like Glassdoor. Don't just guess. Second, build your buffer. That $20,000 is your foundation. Third, develop skills that are in high demand everywhere, not just at your current company. And finally, number 4, negotiate. Everything. Because now you're coming from a place of strength, not a place of, please, I need this job.
So really, the whole point here is a complete shift in how you think. You have to stop thinking like the mouse, waiting around for a little piece of cheese from a trap that was never built to help you win. The goal is to become the farmer, to build your own system that generates nourishment and value completely independent of any one trap.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. The next time you're thinking about your job, your career, your next move, just ask yourself this, honestly. Are you still chasing cheese?